Great to raise money, but it's not sustainable. As I thought. Thank you, Boris. I expect you're hungry. We will sort out breakfast for you. Already here, sir, said Arthur. He had some prawns in his beak, big fat juicy ones, followed by his friend Cedric, who carried an equal amount. Boris's eyes were huge with excitement. Thank you so much. He quickly tucked in. Arthur? Oh, well, you see, we were flying through the town, and the fishmongers were opening up, putting their stock outside in trays of ice. Well, when he went in, it's only 10 prawns. It doesn't matter. If it's one, it's still stealing. Cedric piped up. What's the difference if we took from the sea like our friends the gulls or from the fishmonger? Mighty Oak was thinking he'd have to have this discussion another time. It was more complex, so that they would understand. However, their intentions were good. The two doves looked at each other. Cedric winked. I've got him. He can't answer that. Shh, said Arthur. Listen, don't worry for now, boys. Thank you for thinking of our guest. Goodbye, sir. Bye, Boris. Boris waved. He couldn't reply. He'd been rather stuffing his prawns for fear that they would have to be returned. Arthur and Cedric were now out of Mighty Oak's earshot. Cedric looked over to Arthur. I told you I had him. He didn't have anything to say, did he? Grown-ups. Another thing, Arthur, where do you think we get our food from? Arthur said, oh, yes. Nervously laughed. See you later, Cedric. They parted ways. Thank goodness, thought Boris. So glad. This is scrumptious. A pang of guilt flashed over him, thinking of Petra and Coco. But this was something he had to do for all of their sakes, and he knew Mighty Oak would work it all out. Just then, Arthur returned, and he was red in the face. Mighty Oak, Mum just told me I have to tell you something. When we were coming back with the prawns, a blackbird was flying around, just reminding everyone that we were to keep Boris a secret. Well, I couldn't answer anyway because I had the prawns in my mouth, but Arthur looked down ashamed. I did tell others. I know you said it was a secret, but a monkey is such big news. I'm sorry. Mighty Oak felt sorry for Arthur. He was a good boy. He could be easily led. It's done, my boy. Who did you tell? A couple of pigeons. I don't know them, sir, but they were saying it was boring, and it made me cross. It's not boring here. We have lots of adventures. Who else? Oh, yes, sorry. Sarah the rabbit. Oh, and the Major. The Major? What did he say? He didn't believe me, told me not to make up fancy stories. But after I described Boris, I think he believed me. He's coming to visit you later. That's good. I need him for something. Also, I need Timmy. Anything I can do? I'd like to help. Bless you, Arthur. And it's a job required for hands. Do you mind staying, keeping Boris company? Oh, yes, please. But may I quickly go and tell my mum and come straight back? Of course. Good boy, Arthur. Rose and Mark came into the garden. Rose placed a picnic blanket on the ground and Mark sat down. Stay there, darling. I'll get you something to play with. Batman, shouted Mark. I know. Rose smiled to herself. She had seen the most marvellous teddy bear she wanted to get for Mark's birthday. He was only 4 after all. However, Ron had disagreed and wanted Mark to have the latest Corgi Batman set. It had only just come out. It was a Batmobile and Batboat. Well, it seemed on this occasion Ron had been right. It was a success. It was Mark's favourite birthday present. And didn't Ron let her know it? Rose picked up his Batmobile and boat, also his drawing pad and crayons. Mark was giggling and waving at the tree. Can I show my friends? Picking up his present. Yes, darling. Rose sat on the blanket and watched as her son tottered along the winding path, got safely to the tree and sat plop safely. Rose tutted to herself. She'd forgotten something, quickly went to the kitchen, collected a paper bag of pea husks and an empty bowl, went back to the garden, sat down. As Rose was opening the bag, she watched Mark chattering away to the tree, looking up and waving towards the branches. Arthur and Cedric returned together. Both had decided to keep Boris company. As Rose was watching, she had a flash of a memory and remembered shucking peas in the garden with Andrew, sat just like this. Mark was chattering away. Is it possible for two siblings to share the same imaginary friends? Her concentration was broken suddenly. She heard a strange noise. She'd not heard this before, had she? It was a noise. Where had she heard it before? Mighty Oak said, "Boris, my boy, can you be quiet? I think Rose just heard you. I'm sorry, sir. We were laughing. Mark made us laugh." Rose walked along the winding path. "You all right, darling?" "Yes, Mummy. It's funny. It's funny, Mummy. What is, sweetheart?" Mark got up and did a strange walk. Rose instantly remembered what he was talking about because he had giggled so much. They'd watched a program Watch with Mother together, and the wooden tops were on. The way they walked made Mark laugh. "Yes, that was funny. Are you all right while Mummy finishes her piece?" "Yes, Mummy." Rose sat down, continuing placing the peas in the bowl, watching Mark do his best to spot the dog impression. Rose remembered herself as a child climbing the magnificent tree. "I think I fell out of the tree. It was like it caught me. Like the branches caught me." Her parents hadn't believed her, but it was exactly like that. Just like she was placed gently on the ground. "Too much imagination, that one," her father had said. "Don't be silly," Rose thought to herself. Mark came back to his mummy, picked up his drawing pad and crayons and walked back to the tree, put them down and returned. "I need the potty, Mummy." "Good boy." Rose took Mark's hand and they went inside. Mighty Oak seized the opportunity. He would ask Boris instead of Timmy. Boris listened to his instructions, climbed down the tree, wrapped his tail around the lower branches, swung his body down and promptly picked up the drawing pad and crayons, swung up and climbed back in the upper branches. "Good boy, well done." Arthur and Cedric were impressed. "Well done, mate. This tail thing you do is amazing." All three stopped chatting at the same time, suddenly realizing something. Boris shrugged his shoulders as if to say, "Oh, I don't know." Cedric whispered to his two pals, "What does Mighty Oak want a drawing pad and crayons for?" Rose and Mark returned to the garden. Rose picked up a bowl of peas and paper bag of empty husks and took them to the kitchen. "Mark, will you help Mummy in the kitchen, darling? You going to keep Mummy company?" "Yes, Mummy." Rose picked up the picnic blanket and asked Mark if he had his Batmobile and boat. Silly question. He wasn't going anywhere without them. They went back indoors with a final wave from Mark and the door was shut. Boris was relieved he could now talk. The day was going slowly for the mighty tree. All day creatures were turning up to see the famous monkey, but still no news of Timmy. They had to work fast. Word of Boris escaping would be spreading. They had to act fast for the plan to work. It was now 1 p.m. in the afternoon. The Major had arrived. "Hello, sir," he said, saluting to the tree. "I say, is this business about a monkey true, sir?" "It is, my friend. Boris, may you join us? Come down for a moment, please." "Yes, sir." Boris swung down from the upper branches with such skill, using his tail to grip and swing. "Hello," he said, landing next to the Major. The Major stepped back to get a good look at this special guest. "Well, hello there, young fellow, my lad. Now, Major, I have such an important task for you." "You too, Boris." "Major, if I might explain." "Yes, of course." The Major promptly walked along to the trunk and listened to the mighty tree's instructions. When Mighty Oak had finished, he said to the Major, "Will you accept, my friend?" "I will, sir." "Now, Boris, we need you to really try your hardest to learn a new, important skill. Are you up for that?" "Sir, if this helps my zoo, I am." The Major said, "Well, there's no time like the present, my lad. We will go to the thickest branch up there." And with that, the Major picked up the drawing pad in his beak and flew to the thickest branch. "Up you come, lad. Grab the crayons." Boris looked somewhat bewildered, but obeyed the large bird. "Now open the pad and get out a crayon." Boris dutifully obeyed. "Now, my boy, we are going to learn simple basic maths. first. What? Exclaimed Boris. He looked down at all the creatures, who were all looking up equally surprised. Cedric started to talk. Now Arthur knew his friend was famous for putting his foot in it, speaking first, thinking later. So Arthur quickly interrupted his friend and said, "Oh no, I've forgotten something. Cedric, will you come with me?" "I will, yes, but what the heck is—" "Cedric, come with me now." And then Arthur flew to the ground. Intrigued and somewhat annoyed, Cedric followed. "Hey, you interrupted me." "Yes, you were going to open your big mouth again." "Well, excuse me, Arthur. You can't talk to me like that. Anyway, you don't even know what I was going to say." "I do. I know exactly what." "What?" replied Cedric smugly. "You were going to say, what the heck is Mighty Oak getting Boris to do sums for? Wasting time when we have to get help for the zoo." "Oh, well, it might have been something like it, something along those lines." "I knew it. Listen, Cedric, Mighty Oak is hundreds of years old, seen things we can't imagine, seen wars, seen technology change the world, solved so many problems. Every single time he sorts it out, believe me, if he has Boris learning maths, there is a valid reason for it. It may seem odd, strange, even stupid to us at that minute, but trust me when I say if Mighty Oak is doing something, there is always a reason. You coming out with your smart remarks like that is very disrespectful and rude. We have to respect Mighty Oak." "Well, if you put it like that, I suppose you're right. But please don't raise your voice again." "I won't. I'm sorry, but I had to stop you before you spoke." "Okay, I get that. Are we okay?" "Of course," Cedric replied. The two friends flew off together.